Hello and welcome to the Car Care Nut channel. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I have been on the hunt for the perfect ultimate DIY scan tool. Every day I get many emails from all kinds of companies that I've never heard of, and I look into their product and it's just another blue driver that costs $300 that doesn't really do anything extra. Or it's another Carista that costs $400 and doesn't do anything extra. But one company caught my attention, and I am so glad that I listened because their tool is really astounding. But before we dig into the review and the demo and everything else, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Consider subscribing, check out some of my other videos. If you are a returning subscriber, well, thank you so much for watching another one of my videos. And without further ado, let's go check this thing out. So let's talk briefly about scan tools. As a professional, I work at a Toyota dealership. I'm used to dealing with the official scan tool from Toyota that does everything that is possible to do with a scan tool. It is too complicated usually for DIY, and it's super expensive. Yes, you can buy a clone, whatever, but that's not the straight way of buying one. If you want to buy an official one, it's very expensive. So every scan tool has to have a few features that are very important for professional level or advanced level diagnosis. Let me break it in a few categories. The first category, which I expect the scan tool to cost $100 or less, the one that could read codes and can access ABS and SRS and basically all the computers, maybe do a little bit of customization, maybe read some live data, not everything, but some live data. In that category, I think the Carista and the Blue Driver are the best. There are many others that are also good, but they're pretty much all the same. That's their capability. Then you go into the $150 to $200 bracket. In some other models, really for Toyota, it doesn't do much. Maybe you can program TPMS sensors. Maybe you can reset some certain things. In other manufacturers, you could do a little bit more, but that's about it. But a professional grade scan tool can do one thing that most of these scan tools can't do, and here's where the price jump happens. Now you're in the 700, 800, 1000 plus range is when you get to bi-directional control. Activating things when you're doing diagnosis, this is very important. With how cars are complicated today, you need to be able to activate everything individually so you know what's going on. Not only that, but it can do brake bleeding, it could do some of the special functions or advanced utilities that not really available in the cheaper level or the entry-level scan tools. And this is what caught my attention to this one scan tool that we're going to review in this video. Usually I get the email, I told you about this already. I get the email, I ask them what are the capability and what's the price. 400 it can do, they send me basically copy paste the generic text from Amazon. I really don't respond to that because if you're not willing to really tell me what your scan tool can do, I'm not interested in reviewing it and wasting my precious viewers' times. But this company went a little bit overboard. They simply replied with a PDF file and told me, here are the capabilities of my scan tool. I opened that file and it is a 4,000 page file. I am not joking. Here's a little snap of that. And that's only for Toyota. This is every single model ever made by Toyota that is OBD2 compliant. And what the scan tool can do, 4,000 pages long. You know what? If you took that time to make a 4,000 page document, you will have time on my channel and my viewers' time because this tool is very impressive. And ladies and gentlemen, it is a scan tool from a company you've never heard of. Xtool is the name of the company, and the scan tool in question is a D7. That all means nothing until we see what it can do. First, let's open the case and see what's in it. What comes with this scan tool before we go hook it up to the Corolla behind me and see what it actually can do. So, very nice blow molded case. Very nice scan tool actually. The hardware usually is very flimsy from this cheaper level, but this one, it's an Android. It has some protection on the sides. It is generally a nice looking scan tool. That's a scan tool itself. Then you also get some foam, some instructions that are hard translation from Chinese. It could do a lot better, but this doesn't matter because you'll see what the scan tool can do and you'll know why there cannot be an owner's manual. Then there's a very nice cable. It has a Velcro. It's good length. It's not super long, but this is pretty much the standard for even professional scan tools. The cable seems very high quality. On one side, it connects to the scan tool. On one side, it connects to the OBD2 connector. Very simple. It comes with a USB port. You can update it and charge it, which it comes with a charger. And something interesting here, which I thought this was pretty cool. For our international viewers, this is actually 110 and 240. So you can have the standard US, I think Canadian one as well, or you can have the other one. I don't know what standard this is called, but for everybody around the world, and I remember from my old days, this was the plug. So this just connects to the charger and you can charge it. I thought that was pretty cool. But you know what? All this means nothing until you see what the scan tool can do. Let me summarize it before we jump to the car. This scan tool can read data, good. Can read every single computer on the car, good. Can do bidirectional control at the exact same level as the OEM scan tool. And not only that, it can do a lot of special functions, they're calling it here. Special functions like evap test, like TPMS reset, like so many other things. It's really hard to list it in one video. I'll just give you a little bit of example. The car behind me is a Toyota Corolla of the latest generation. It is a hybrid model. So let's go hook up the scan tool to it and I'll show you some of the awesome features of the scan tool and why this is taking your time as a viewer for me to review it. Alright folks, so when you connect the scan tool, I have the car running here. It's a hybrid, so you don't hear the engine. It might kick on at any moment. Well, to begin, let's go auto scan. It's going to just identify the VIN number of the car. It's going to ask you a few questions. That's normal. It's going to ask you Toyota or Lexus. We're going to go Toyota. It's going to ask you which country is this car destined for. Not where it's made, but which market it is in. Because this scan tool actually can recognize European Toyotas, Japanese Toyotas, and others. So in our case, let's go USA. There we go. It recognized the car, Corolla Hybrid 2021. And you notice there's option, radar cruise. Even the original scan tool will ask you for these options. Sometimes it'll ask you for TPMS, all kinds of other options. So let's hit OK. Automatic scan. This is actually going to look through all your codes, all your computers, recognize them, and it goes very quick. As you can see, text stream takes forever. This is something called health check and text stream. It takes forever. This is almost done. There we go. We're almost done. So when you're here, you just hit, like your own engine, hit diagnose. You got read codes, clear codes, live data, and actuation. Let's go to live data. This does take a little bit of time, even in text stream, takes even longer because there's so much data that it has to collect. Trust me, these new cars, they have incredible amount of data that you can get from the engine computer. Now, this is where you have already departed from your $100 scan tool. They're not going to show this much data because they're not capable of getting this much data. The first data point is total distance travel. This is not from the cluster. This is from the engine computer. So if somebody modifies the cluster to change the miles, you're actually going to know immediately if you're like buying a used car, because this is from a different point. They can't change that. Usually they just change the cluster where you can see, but they don't change everything else. So that's the first thing. There is so much data here, folks. I mean, I'm just going to scroll through a few of it. And this is something that I like. Like if we go back to some variable numbers. So the airflow ratio, it is live. And it is, the refresh rate is very quick. Scan tools, and this is where text stream comes up right up with speed, because if you can't see the fluctuations very smoothly, like if they're jittery, you might miss stuff in diagnosis. So continuing on, live data, maybe you've seen live data before, but here's the actuation test. This is where your money's at. Folks, this is a big deal because you can do some pretty crazy stuff here. Like, control the engine cooling fan. Now let me turn off the AC here. It'll always give you these descriptions. You gotta read them because sometimes there are conditions that have to be met for the fans to come on. And this is exactly the same as it is in TechStream. So right now, the engine cooling fan is off. We're gonna put it on high. Fans are on, low. Now they're on low and off. If you have a fan, for example, that's not coming on and you're not sure if it's a fan problem, wiring problem, or you have a control circuit where, you know, it's not getting a signal to turn on, this is a very simple test. You don't even have to break out your meter and all this stuff. Just activate the fan. Yeah, the fan works. So now I know my fan is good, my control circuit is good, and my control circuit leading to the fan is good, and the computer of the fan is good. So now I have to turn my diagnosis back to where is the fan getting a signal from, and potentially there's an issue elsewhere. This is a very simple way to utilize this. So most of these you can actually control with the car off or the key on, engine off. I don't want to do that right now because I don't want to risk the battery going down. But here's another one. Check the cylinder compression. This will cut the fuel, cut the ignition, all automatic on each cylinder. And then all you do is just crank the engine and it'll show you the numbers, and life is great. Now, all of this, there is so many stuff here. You can activate the water pump. Now, the engine is running right now, so you can put it at 3,000 RPM. Here it is. You can actually go listen to it, see the flow. You can put it at 0 RPM. And here, it's showing you two data lists. This is actually the same as TechStream, and I'll explain because some of this doesn't make sense. The activate the electric water pump, that's the target. So that's what the computer wants the water pump to do. And then the bottom one is what the water pump is actually doing. So when I put it at 3,000 RPM, you notice that it's flickering. It can never hold that water pump exactly at 3,000, but it's very close, and that the computer is happy. When you put it at 0 RPM, you notice how it drops slowly, because until the water pump starts spinning, stops spinning. Now we're back at 0. This is also very simple to test your water pump. If you're doing a bleeding and you want to be done quickly, you want to circulate the coolant quickly, you can just go in here, activate it. That way when the engine is off, your water pump still be running and you're still gonna recirculate the coolant. Now let's exit out of engine and I'll show you some of the other cool stuff. Hybrid. Now one thing I noticed about this, when you go to hybrid control and diagnose, let it connect, live data, it's not gonna show you much data here. And I was kind of bummed, like, what's going on here? Here, let's wait for it to load and I'll show you guys. So same thing, travel distance. Now this is the hybrid computer now, not getting it from the engine computer. You scroll down and it's not showing me everything. We're missing a lot of data here. Yeah, it's showing you like the motor torque and where we're at. Like when you have positive torque, the motor is driving. When you have negative torque, you're generating. Remember how hybrids work if you watch my series? So this is the motor torque for, you know, we're not driving right now, but if you start driving, all these will be all over the place because now you're driving, generating, driving, generating. So this is also a way for you to know what's going on with hybrid. But there's nothing about the battery here. Here you can see the voltage of the battery right now before boosting and after. Remember how the inverter and hybrids boost? You can see what it is boosting to, what's going on. You can see the temperature of the coolant. This is in Celsius. You can actually change the units here if you want it in standard or metric. But I discovered something, and this is not in the Toyota ScanTool. Toyota ScanTool is just hybrid control, has all the data. But if you go back, you can actually see hybrid battery and motor generator. And you'll see all, they kind of broke it down in 3 sections. You can see all the data for the battery here, like the temperature of the cells, the voltages, all that good stuff. You can see it all here. Here we go. The status of the relays. Let's go scroll down to temperature of the hybrid battery. These are the different temperature sensors on the battery. Here are the voltages. This is very useful in hybrid diagnosis. But let's go back and I'll show you the actuation test on the battery. You can control the cooling fan. If you have suspect that the cooling fan is not working right, same thing. Is it the fan or is it the control side? So you can just activate it, and there are the levels of the activation. Put it at 6. I can actually hear the fan running right now. Pretty cool. Put it at 6. That's full blast. That's when your battery is clogged. The filter is clogged in the battery. But let's go even further to things that you normally don't see. And this is, you know, some scan tools will have some of these activations, especially for the engine stuff. But here's when we go to main body. Main body is the body ECU. That's Toyota lingo for body ECU, basically. So you can go to the live data. Not really much there. It's just showing you some of the options, and that's normal. But when you go to the actuation test, anything but normal here, because you can activate everything. Door lock, like you're hitting the door lock here and it's not working. Well, it asks you also, do you want to monitor a data list? We're not going to monitor a data list, but there we go. Door locked, door unlocked. Isn't that pretty cool? Now you know, is it a switch problem, or is it, you know, the locks themselves, or is there a communication problem? Let's go back. And then the wireless buzzer, like the, see, this is the lingo that Toyota uses. Buzzer. Buzzer is like a warning chime, or in this case, the wireless buzzer is actually the remote control noise that like beep beep when you unlock and lock the door. So there you go. You hear it. You can test it that way. There is, let's see, what else? Relay of headlight. Can actually command the headlights on. There we go, the lights are on. I mean, the thing is endless. If you have a car with folding mirrors that are not folding, you can actually control that they're folding. Now this car doesn't have that, so we can't really activate it. Vehicle horn. This is a good one. Let's wake up all the neighbors. Yep, it works. So, all of this stuff, you can spend days here. So, navigation system, we have actually one fault. Let's see what the fault is. Disconnected XM tuner antenna. There we go, we got a fault. And it's history. You see that? This is another thing that some of these cheapo scan tools will not show you clearly what is a history, what is current, what is pending, and what is permanent. This is clearly history. So let's go ahead and clear the code. Cleared. Let's go back. No trouble codes. Great. Now let's exit out of all this, and I'll show you the creme de la creme of this scan tool, which is the special functions. Folks, this is when things go crazy. Key programming. That's where your money's at, folks. Again, we gotta, this doesn't happen automatically. You gotta select it. Let's find our Toyota. There we go, and it's not in alphabetical order for some reason. Here we go. Remote, mobilizer, smart key system, all smart key lost. I haven't tried this. I tried to program a key, it works great, but I have not tried all smart keys lost. This is a feature, if it works, it makes this scan tool the most valuable of all. Basically, if you lose all your keys, you could reprogram the car with this. That is something big, but very simple for the smart key. So when we get to this menu, you see that I've tried them. This seems like a little generic, but you got to keep trying until you find one that connects. Proxy 3 connected. You can add a smart key, you can erase smart key, you can reset the smart key, or you can program the ECU. Now I don't want to play with this because this is not my car and we don't have another key, but you basically go add a smart key, it'll walk you through the prompts, and just like the Toyota scan tool, erase smart keys. Let's say your key was stolen, one key was stolen, you have another one, you want to make sure that key doesn't start the car anymore. Get all the keys that you currently have, and you go through that utility, and it'll ask you to touch the key to the start button, and then whatever keys you don't have, they'll be erased, and that's it. But this is how things are super simple here. Other stuff here, some of these are not really for this model. Like, we don't have transportation mode. The Supra does, but we don't have here. The DPF, this is for diesel stuff. Steering angle sensor, yes, you do have this here. Very rarely, you know, Toyota will go out. But again, it'll ask you which model you have, which you have an electric steering system, EMPS, most of them do, and then Camry Highlander. This is where it takes a little bit of trial and error and understanding what's going on with these special functions. TPMS reset. This is one that I think is very useful. Let's find our Toyota. There we go. So here you have to select the car. In this case, we're going to go Corolla. And it'll ask you which frequency you have. And this is where it takes a little bit of trial and error again. So you want to learn, diagnose our information. Learn is you can actually program your sensors. So some of these options, you notice that they're not really for this car. Like, we don't have a gearbox match. We don't have a crankshaft resync. Some cars need that. We don't have a window reset. These are, you can do them from here. We don't have a airbag sensor reset because it resets automatically. But what we do have is ABS bleeding. We do have that one. And I tried this one and it works pretty good, except when the battery goes down. We'll talk about this in a little bit in the video. Here we go. Brake line air bleeding for a hybrid. You can actually do it with this. You can bleed the 4Runner, the 4Runner's hydraulic unit if you've just replaced one. You can bleed just regular system, or if you're replacing parts, you can actually bleed. Regular bleeding is simple, but when you replace these parts, and hybrids especially, things get really complicated. Very impressive scan tool. It could do so much. We could be here for 3 hours, folks. This is very impressive. Well, there you have it, folks. I hope I didn't lie to you. This thing is pretty impressive. And I'll be honest, something about its speed. I am super impressed by the speed of this scan tool. And I don't know if you can see it on camera. This thing is actually pretty beat up because I use it in the shop now because it is faster than TechStream, the official Toyota scan tool. But for this price point, this can do a lot more than just TechStream. Yeah, you could buy a cloned one online to do that, but you have to buy a cloned one for every manufacturer. If you have 3-4 cars of different manufacturers, this can do everything for everybody. And the price of this product, as the date of filming this video, is $470. That might seem like a lot for a DIY, but trust me, if you're ready to graduate from the basic $100, below $100 scan tool like Awesome Blue Driver or Awesome Carista or many others that are really good around that price point, don't buy the $200-300 one because they're useless. They're basically, you're just paying for the hardware and everything else is the same. This is really taking it to the next level. I compare this, and Otel is another company that makes really good products, but anything comparable to this, you're talking 800 to over 1,000 and possibly more, because this thing can do a few things that are just very specific. If you are ready to upgrade, to go to a better scan tool that will potentially cover all your makes that you have, all the models that you have of cars that can do real diagnosis capabilities, I think this is a great choice. The company was generous enough to give us a small discount for my viewers. I'll leave all their information in the description of this video. I tested it on the newest stuff, 2021. This is usually where these aftermarket scan tools suffer with the very newest cars. And they still did very well. It identified 2021 cars, even some of the complicated ones. So before we wrap up this video, it's not all rainbows and butterflies with this scan tool. I will share with you the negatives of this scan tool because nothing is perfect in life. If you want something perfect, go buy the OEM scan tool for $10,000 and then even then you'll have issues. Let's discuss some of the things I did not like about this scan tool, starting with the cable. Now, the cable is perfectly fine. There is nothing, I don't doubt its durability because I've been using this in the shop and we don't exactly have the time to treat things with love in the shop. Things are fast-paced and it has held up pretty well. I don't see it having an issue. However, one thing that really is annoying, this is personal. I don't like these twist connections because here's a scenario in a shop. You're in a hurry, you get the car in, you just want to check it, scan it, and now I have to open the case, take the scan tool, connect this, turn these things on so it wouldn't flop over, and now I'm halfway through my diagnostic and it's cut out. and then connect this to the scan tool. Turn these things on to connect it. And then when I'm done, I open the case, and I just want to put this here and move on. I still have to disconnect this and put it here, otherwise it won't fit. Now I'm fighting with the case. Now granted, this one is only for professionals. Usually DIY mechanics, they're taking their time, they're trying to do everything not in a rush and a hurry, but actually this scan tool is capable of doing professional grade, like independent shop would really find use of this. But this is one thing, and the other thing is the battery life. The battery life is not great. I probably used it for an hour off the charger after a full charge when I got it, and that's all it lasted, and it went down straight to zero. The other thing is I charged it fully. I left it maybe for 2 or 3 days. It was down almost to nothing. Now I don't know if that's a problem with this particular one that I have, or this is just the battery life that they have. It does run Android. It's pretty stable. You can actually use it as a tablet for very few things other than just the scan tool portion. I don't really spend too much time on that because I bought it as a scan tool, not a tablet. But one downside of the battery is it's not an issue because when you connect it to the car, it'll get power through the car. But here's a scenario that I had that actually this could be a problem. I was bleeding brakes on a 2013 Camry Hybrid, and we've replaced everything in this. There was a contamination, you know, big job. We're replacing the hydraulic unit and the pump and everything. Well, I was bleeding with this scan tool and it was working perfectly until the car's battery got to right around 11 volts. This thing shut off, flickered and shut off and restarted halfway through the process, which kind of made my fever go up, because if one of these very expensive components get wiped out because we're in the middle of a procedure, well, that's going to be a very interesting conversation with my boss. But that didn't happen. Everything was good when I hooked up a charger to the car. I should have hooked up a charger to the car, but the battery on the car was new. It just dropped because we've been key on for a long time. But if this thing had a battery that is good, that is long and strong, it would have continued. But I don't know why it started flickering at 11 volts. So if you're going to use this for heavy stuff where the key is on for a very long time, you're doing some long procedure, make sure you got a battery charger. Don't count on the battery in this thing. I really like this tool. I recommend it only if you are ready to upgrade from the basic scan tool. If you only want to read codes and you only want to do some customizations, read basic live data, stick with a $100 scan tool. This is overkill. But if you're DIY and you have a $100 scan tool and you just need a real scan tool, not a glorified code reader, this is a great option for that because of its capabilities, because of its price point. Folks, I hope you liked this video. I hope you learned something new. If you like this video, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to the channel. Check out some of my other videos. And until the next video, folks, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and you have yourself a wonderful day.